What's up, YouTube? I'm here to do my prediction video for UFC Fight Night, Edwards versus Muhammad. Let's start the bottom. The first fight is Matthew, can't say his last name, versus Jason Witt. And to me, Matthew looks just like a striker and Witt looks just like a grappler. Neither of these guys look super amazing. I think it's really just, can Matthew catch Witt with that first big shot, or is Witt just going to control him for 3 rounds? And I'm leaning towards the latter. I think Jason Witt showed in his second fight that with a proper camp, he's actually a pretty decent guy. You know, he's got a lot of experience. He has an above-average record, and I think we've seen he is a very solid wrestler. I think that Matthew, you know, he looks like a solid young guy, but I don't think he's fought someone at Jason Witt's overall wrestling level, so I'm leaning towards Witt. Next is Jinh Yu Frey versus Gloria DePaula, and to me, I think both these chicks are just like okay strikers. I think Gloria has a little bit more of a grappling game. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing is I think Gloria is going to be able to push this against the fence when she needs to, and I think she's going to slightly edge up the rounds a little bit and maybe get takedowns. Because of that, I'm just slightly leaning towards Gloria to win a decision. Next is Courtney Casey versus J.J. Aldrich, and to me, I think technically on the feet, J.J. is better, but one of the biggest issues I've seen with J.J. is that she has a hard time against chicks that are just bigger than her and kind of use their size to their advantage. And Courtney Casey is kind of all of that. Like, Courtney Casey is just the taller, bigger chick. And we've seen it in kind of her last 2 losses when she lost to, I can't remember their names, but both the chicks she lost to were both fights that she was winning. But as soon as they kind of just used their size and power to, like, bully her against the fence, she kind of crumbled. And I think that's what's going to happen in this fight. I think if Courtney kind of makes this a dirty clinch fight / grappling fight, I think she wins. So I'm picking Casey to win by either decision or submission. Next is Nasrat Haqparast versus Rafa Garcia, and Rafa looks like a solid grappler, but that's about it. I don't think he's the greatest striker ever. He's got like above average striking, maybe average. I don't think it's going to matter. I think Nasruddin has too good a takedown defense, and I think this is just going to be a striking fight. And I think Nasruddin's going to eventually catch this dude and knock him out. I just think his takedown defense is too good. So I'm picking Nasruddin might knock out. Next is Rani Yahya versus Ray Rodriguez. And to me, unless Rani Yahya is done, I mean, he kind of hasn't been fighting as regularly as he used to, and I assume it's injuries. I think he wins this fight all day. I think he's the much better grappler, and I think he can easily win at least 2 of the 3 rounds, if not win by submission. I think that, you know, these are the type of guys that Rani Yahya usually runs throughout his career. And I think, like I said, unless his like knees are shot or his back is shot, I don't know what was injured. As soon as he gets this fight to the ground, he's got a huge advantage, and I think he wins by submission. Next is Charles Jourdain versus Marcelo Rocha, and you know these are both good strikers, but I just think that Charles is the much better striker. I think we've seen throughout his career that, you know, other than his UFC debut, he's looked super good against everyone he's fought. His first fight in the UFC was at lightweight, and he's obviously a featherweight. He was fighting a guy that was just way bigger than him. But like I said, his last 3 fights, he's gone 1-1-1, and I thought he clearly won his last fight. It was a draw, but that was kind of BS in my opinion. I think that, like I said, I think he should be 2-1. And I forget the 2 guys he beat. I think it was Doo Ho Choi was one of them. The other one was the one that he lost to was Andre Fili. But he's a very good striker, and he's shown that in every single fight he's had. And I think that, you know, he just looks like a better striker than Rocha, and I think he wins by decision or TKO. Jourdain, that is. Next is Angela Hill versus Ashley Yoder, and to me, this, like I said before, I think if anything, since their first fight, Angela Hill has gone significantly better, as where Yoder's just gone a little bit better. I think Angela Hill's takedown defense especially has gotten a lot better. I'm not saying Yoder can't win this fight. I think if Yoder can get Hill to the ground, she can absolutely submit her. We've seen that Hill, like I said before, if she is on the ground, if you can get her there, she's still not amazing on the ground. I think that high-level black belts, which Yoder I think is, can catch her. You know, her takedown defense is what's gotten a lot better. But, like I said, her overall grappling is still not great. But on the feet, you know, Yoder's hands have gotten a lot better. But I think Hill's just got way too big of an advantage. Like, on the feet, it's competitive, but Hill's still going to win every round. On the ground, I think Yoder does have a shot. I just don't think she can get it there. And because of that, I think Hill wins a pretty clear-cut 30-27 decision. Next is Eric Anders versus Darren Stewart. And To me, I think that Darren Stewart's just the much better looking overall prospect at this point. I think that we've kind of seen Eric Anders has like hit the ceiling at this point. I think overall striking Darren Stewart's a lot better. I think the only advantage Eric has is kind of the wrestling, but we've seen Darren Stewart's takedown defense get a lot better. I think unless Eric Anders is just shooting for takedowns nonstop and is kind of getting them, I think Darren Stewart can beat Eric Anders up in the clinch and on the feet. I think he's just the faster, cleaner striker, and I also think he does better damage in the clinch against the fence. Eric Anders can definitely kind of pin Stewart against the fence, but I don't think he's going to be able to get as much offense off as Stewart will. And I think because of that, I'm leaning towards Stewart. I don't think he finishes Eric. I think Eric's only been finished like one time. And because of that, I think Stewart's just going to win, at least a 29-20 decision or a 30-27 decision. Next is Matthews Nicolau versus Manel Kape. And this is the thing. I think Manel Kape's going to win this fight, but I think he's got way too much hype. I think we've seen in Rizin that he's been out-grappled kind of a few times. And I think Nicolau, he's got great top game control. Like, he's got great arm triangles, rear naked chokes, and, like, Japanese neckties, which is, like, this weird, like, almost upside-down arm triangle. Or, like, use your chest to choke people out. But either way, I feel like if Nicolau can get this to the ground, I definitely favor him by a lot. Like, on the feet, it's competitive because, Nicolau is a good striker. I'm leaning towards Kape. I think his takedown defense is good, and I think his striking is better than Nicolau's, but like I said, Nicolau's a live dog in this fight. Like, I legitimately think that he has the ability to strike with Kape on the feet, and if he can get this to the ground, he's definitely, like, the overall favorite. Like, his ability to submit Kape, I think, is very real. I am leaning towards Kape. Like I said, I think his takedown defense and striking are both better than Nicolau's, but I don't think it's impossible for Nicolau to get this fight to the ground, or even catch him on the feet. I don't think the striking gap is huge. I just do think Kape has the advantage. So I'm leaning towards Kape to win by decision. Next is Jonathan Martinez versus Davey Grant. And to me, Davey Grant is a very good fighter, but his inconsistency always worries me. He always just kind of looks a little bit behind because of how much time he takes off all the time. He has been fighting a little bit more regularly recently, but I just think Jonathan Martinez is better, in all honesty. I think on the feet is where this fight's going to take place for the majority, and I think Martinez has just shown that he's getting better every single fight, and I think we're going to see that in this fight too. I think he's just going to beat Davey Grant up and eventually knock him out. Like, Davey Grant was kind of losing to Martin Day, in my opinion, before he caught him, and I think Martinez is a better striker than Day was, so I think Martinez is going to either win a pretty clear-cut 30-27 decision or eventually beat Grant up enough to where he wins by knockout or TKO. Next is Dan Ige versus Gavin Tucker, and these two guys have fairly similar styles. I just think Ige is more technically proficient everywhere. I think his striking is a little bit better, and I think his grappling overall is a little bit better. I think Gavin Tucker is a very good fighter, and I think this fight's going to be very close and competitive. But I am just leaning towards Ige. I prefer Ige's overall skills. I think that, like I said, I think his boxing and jiu-jitsu are just a little bit more tighter technically. And because of that, I think he's going to win either a solid decision or maybe get a finish, just because we've seen Tucker get hurt with good strikes when guys are able to land clean on him. So I wouldn't be shocked if Dan is able to knock Gavin Tucker out. So I'm leaning towards Dan to win by either decision or submission. Next is Misha Koreshkov versus Ryan Spann. And to me, my biggest thing, the reason why I've been waiting for these weigh-ins is because, like I said, the COVID and all that stuff and fights keep falling out. Ryan Spann had a really hard time making weight for this fight. I think he just barely made it. And I was already leaning towards Cirkunov before this, but that just, that's one of those things that makes me full into Cirkunov camp. I think striking, Ryan Spann's got the length, but I think Cirkunov's a little bit better with his overall boxing. I definitely think Cirkunov's the better grappler. I think Spann, is the bigger guy, but Cirkunov's the much more technically proficient grappler. And now with the weight miss, I think that as long as Misha, he didn't miss weight, but he barely made weight is what I should say. I think that Cirkunov, as long as he's patient, if he gets this to the ground, I think he can win by submission with like a rear naked choke or arm triangle. I always thought he was better overall on the ground. And I think that, with Ryan Spann probably not going to be in the greatest shape, I think Cirkunov's going to win by submission in the first or second round. Finally, we got Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad, and to me, the biggest thing is Leon is not like this huge knockout guy. Like, I think they showed that 8-second knockout over Seth Baczynski, but that was like his debut, and he's only had like 1 or 2 finishes since then. You know, he's not a huge finisher. Like, he's a great fighter, but that's just the honest truth. He's not a huge finisher. And the same thing is for Belal Muhammad. These guys are both more volume and technique over everything. I'm favoring Leon, though. I think that Bella definitely has a chance because this is a 5-round fight. Like, his biggest weapon has always been his conditioning and the fact that he can just kind of spam takedowns with his striking. I think that as long as Leon, you know, is in good shape, he wins this fight, though. I think he is the more proficient striker. And this is the thing, Leon's gotten so good at hitting dudes in the clinch. He's kind of like at that Masvidal level where, like, if you just pin him against the fence, he's just going to hit you with elbows and shit all day. And because of that, I'm leaning towards Leon. I don't know if he finishes Bella, but I think he wins a clear decision as long as he doesn't get tired. If he doesn't get tired, his takedown defense is good, and I think his striking's better. So I'm leaning towards Leon. I think he wins either decision or a late TKO. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe.